I've been.
Good work. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order at, I guess, 1:05 p.m. And as the first order of business, I just want to welcome a returning member, Kathy Bailey. Who's there? Who's the, I think everybody knows, curator of the Museum of Archives. And Catherine is joining us. Are you on the committee now as well, or are you just here with Kathy?
Just here for the Heritage Week.
For the Heritage Week, okay.
So how do you spell your last name?
It's Gaitens, Gaitens.
Catherine with a K.
Kathryn.
Thank you. And you're at the Museum and Archives?
That's right.
Thank you.
Andrew, were you at the last meeting?
Yeah.
You were here. Yeah, that was the first. Okay, so that's everybody.
Went by
I
a
think.
different name last year.
Yeah, it went by.
His twin brother. I don't know. I think you look like an Adam, so we're gonna deal with that. Yeah, right?
You can be Anna if you want me to, sure. Okay, so moving on to approval of the agenda. Anything to add to the agenda? Right, can I have a motion to approve? And second? All in favor? Yeah. Carried. Okay, and the next item is item 2, that adoption of minutes from January 16, 2024. And so the recommendations of minutes of the Heritage Commission meeting held January 16, 2024 be adopted. I'll move that. Second? Melissa?
Yeah.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Now to item 3, public comments. Look like there's anybody from that, so straight into business arising, and the first item on the agenda, because Catherine has to get somewhere else, so we want to start that one right up. So 4.1, Heritage Week. And I guess the first bullet is the subcommittee meeting update, which was a while ago though, now in January. So a bunch of us met. Catherine, you were there at the library, and Kathy and Andrew, you were there, and Helen, were you there? Yeah, you were.
Oh.
You couldn't make the Heritage. You couldn't make the Heritage meeting previously.
The previous one, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I was at the subcommittee.
Did I miss anybody? Okay,
Sorry, can you say that again? It was Andrew,
Kathy,
Helen.
Catherine, and Helen. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the counselor was there.
Counselor
Yeah, Alex
Jurgensen.
Jurgensen was there. Yeah. I think that's it. And anyway, that was a while ago, but we settled on a tentative plan at that time, which was to look at a centerfold piece in the undercurrent and find out how much that would cost and whether they would help us lay that out and all of that and what would be in it. So the idea was that it would be a fold out birthday card. So you'd open up the card and it would have, happy birthday, happy 100th birthday, Owen General Store Library. And it would have kind of the list of that Helen researched of all the different uses that the library, store and store building has done over the years, what this means to us. I think that the planning on that has proceeded a little bit beyond that. So I'm going to turn it over, I guess, to update from, I guess, Helen and Museum of Archives, talk about that, and probably the next bullet as well. Let's see the article discussion.
Sure, it was a lovely plan. It would have been if the undercurrent had not wanted so much money. So it was over $1,000 to get the 4-page, or if we wanted inserts that you could take out. So, because I'd asked for 100 extra copies just of the insert. And so without the insert, it's still $850. They seemed to think that was just too much. So they weren't interested in us doing it. Particularly, not met with enthusiastic, So where it stands now, we can submit articles, pictures, reminiscences, whatever we like, and they will put it into whatever form they want. We can still have like a banner saying happy birthday, Old General Store, and they'll probably put our articles in under that. But because I've been dealing with Tracy, who is all about the ads, and I thought maybe Alex Curiel would have been able to see his way through a little more, but he said, no, if there's no ads involved, then it's not gonna work. You need the ads to, if you want it for less than $850. So I think between Kathy and I, and we've got articles and pictures, and I think we just turn it over to them, and they'll put it in whatever format they like, and it'll be content for them, and we'll just see what comes out of it. Like, they usually send a copy, we could say yay or nay, I guess, if it's something that's just not to our liking, or if they cut out half the stuff we send them. But I'm hoping that they'll open their hearts and put in just about everything we want.
Sorry, that bit's free then?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, we're just sending them content now, so.
No charge at all once with the ads?
They put in their ads on their paper, they format it the way they want, and they insert whatever ads they have. We're just talking, it's like sending an article in.
For
Really?
consideration.
For consideration,
Yeah.
Sure.
If you have images, it's probably more likely to run as well too.
Yeah, so basically, we send the material and we kind of lose control. It's up to them to pull it all together, and my guess is they'll probably do a pretty good job of it.
They usually.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They try to keep the theme together usually.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. Just won't be as quite as spectacular as a fold out thing.
Yeah, well, think big and
We'll see what comes up.
Maybe fold out for what the library does in the summer.
yeah, maybe at least we seeded that idea.
The library will do a bigger
They
celebration.
will, yes, yeah, we don't have to sort of put too much interest into the library part of it. We're talking about the Old General Store. The library is doing their own thing towards the end of summer or into the fall, and it'll be a big hoorah. We're the dedicated to the library being in the Old General Store space.
And the library story is a broader story in some way than the general store, because the library has its own existence apart from having come into the general store.
We've been in and out a couple of times. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't been aware of that.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on Heritage Week?
One of the other elements, I think we were hoping as a story would go in is on the youth curators, which we were Museum and Archives works with Sarah Haxby and Bix, and Sarah's the one who created the program. I think it was almost 20 years ago. It's been going for a long time. So either we're waiting to see if she'll submit an article or if she wants us to follow up with one, but we're working with the heritage theme, layer by layer, with the students that have signed up for the youth curators. And they are focusing on the Old General Store, so that kind of ties in. We do have a few quotes that could potentially go in as well from the kids. And there was one, why was it important? It was important to save the Old General Store because people liked it. And Lachlan said it was definitely important to save the Old General Store because it was old and we wouldn't have the library. Although I do love the idea of a bookmobile. It was just like.
Put the Old General Store on wheels and move around.
They voted, top other buildings they, voted to save were Tiernanog and the Legion. And we had interest, they had a lot of interest, other comments.
And Lydia's cool.
Oh, yes, that's what they thought would be there otherwise. And she said, maybe an indoor pool and a hot tub and a cat, and a. Someone else thought it might be a parking lot. But you have maybe some more updates on the articles?
Got articles written to be submitted. I don't know what he's going to use. We've got articles from David Smith, Saving the Old General Store.
Yes.
Brief history of the general store and the Davy store. We've got an article at the library, and we've got so many photos. Just gonna pass them all his way and see what happens. Yeah.
That'd be great. And I can give you the 3 pictures I have if you could pass those on us, that I scan them and do your magic on the computer. Okay.
I will scan and send.
Sorry, I don't normally participate as much just because there's some logistics at the staff level I want to keep my eye on. I've got your layer by layer article. Do you want me to share that with Kathy for contribution?
Please, yeah.
Okay, so do you want to tell them what it's about?
It's the setting of the building itself is I kind of thought, because setting is my thing that I do for my day job. I'm setting heritage assets, so I thought it'd be interesting to do a little thought piece on the setting of library building. So I thought a lot of people would be focusing on the fabric itself or the history of it in terms of the layers. But where it is helps us understand what it is. And there are layers to its setting as well in terms of, well, you'll see when you read the article. Try to
I'll put it on the screen for
Is it the same one that you prepared in December?
Yeah.
It's not too long.
It's just a page. So yeah, feel free to, but that's just, I didn't know why I was doing it, just that I could do it, so you can use it or not.
Oh, wonderful. Are you just going to submit it yourself to the underground, or do you want it to go as part of a?
Can he be included in this, because he's on the commission, so part of this project that be included? Yes.
Absolutely.
You probably have that already, Steph.
It's right there,
Oh, yeah,
and I'll send it as well.
right. And there's this letter from Sigurd, 1976, that is about a page, but it sounds like Alex Curiel is keen on putting that in the undercurrent as well, so.
It's the Valentine's issue of the paper, so it's. But the letter from Sigurd was perfect.
Yes,
But yeah.
and this whole thing really is our love letter to the, in a way, it's a Valentine's card as well as a birthday card.
Ah,
There are some ideas, I guess we stepped away from the idea of doing it as a birthday card. They might be able to incorporate it, but it went back into an email, the all email. Helen, I think staff and Peter, you're on that one. Where we're talking about the different ideas, and there's some files there, JPEGs for different options if we wanted to do the birthday card or anniversary card.
Yeah, we could still use it could be a heading,
Sure.
like happy 100th birthday. Library.
Your email.
Yeah, oh yeah, that just came in, okay. All right, is there any other conversation on, discussion on this? The next steps, I guess, are a package with all of these articles. If you have anything to submit them to Steph.
no, I think it sounds like Kathy and Helen are the ones that are stick handling.
Well, I'm computer illiterate, so send them to Kathy.
Kathy for Helen's, yeah,
The deadline's the 12th, if we want it in by Heritage Week, so.
Yes. Monday.
So everybody will send to Kathy and then Kathy will submit as a package.
Yeah,
Before-
absolutely. If I could have them by Sunday, it would be even better.
Yeah.
Fire them off Monday morning.
it's at 9, 10, that's the 11th. And then there is a bit of heritage inclusion in the Bowen Rec Family Day activities. So I've asked them they're doing a choose your own adventure, which is like a scavenger hunt. So they're going to include the Community Heritage Registry as part of the scavenger hunt, and that ends at the Legion with a lunch and a party. So kind of included in that. If you want to link information to this, I can follow up with you on that.
Very cool. And you know, that youth project where kids were suggesting things to do with the old general store, it gives me an idea is that when we do go out for public suggestions of additional sites on the island that should be in the register, that we ask kids as well, they could come up with some things that we don't think of as adults, so.
Yeah, I wanted to say Phoenix photos.
Phoenix.
Yeah, because that's where the toy shop is.
Right.
But one of the things Kathy and I were thinking would be really great to do with the kids would be to give them this map and just cross out all the buildings that aren't there anymore. Because it's quite striking when you actually sit down and look at it. But we also realized we need a bit of help with it because some of the buildings, I'm not sure whether or not they remain as homes or as little cottages in there. I know one was moved, but the majority of them are just gone. And I think it would make a really striking feature for the kids to look at. And if we could get it done by Monday, and send it to the underground as well. But it's remarkable.
Are you thinking just within Davies Orchard or broader than that? Or just everything on that map?
Union Steamship Company, yeah.
That's a tall order by Monday.
I know. It's got X's through them. But yeah, might be possible.
Mhm.
It was so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Same just gone to the store.
Really?
There's the one that was the Metro maintenance cottage, it's still there, but BG next to it got demolished, it was about to fall down. Or two there residentially.
Yeah, that was my first home when I was 4 years old.
Oh, really? Okay, so I think we're done with that item. Thank you, and thank you,
Okay.
Catherine, for coming down. All right, so Davies Orchard Heritage Inspection Report, that's Daniel Martin, or perhaps is Foxy?
Yeah, he hadn't provided any updates to give, so I don't think we have the report.
We don't have the report yet? Okay, all right, so that item will be, item 4.2 will be deferred until the next meeting. The board's not ready.
So we just finish that, so that's unfinished.
Focused on being chair, I don't notice what conversations going on. Sorry about that.
So now
Okay, so it's noted that by staff that the Davies Orchard Heritage Inspection Report, item 4.2, has not yet been received. So from Don Luxton Associates, the Heritage Consultant. So that item 4.2 will be deferred until next meeting.
Any discussion?
Any discussion on that?
What's going on?
Beats me.
We got this.
Anybody heard anything?
Yeah, we've heard back from them and yeah, I'm not sure if we've received an update since, the last week, because yeah, we were hoping to get it by the start of February. But yeah,
We heard from them, but what have we heard?
yeah, just some, I don't want to share the personal issues that
It was personal.
just help, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And just for the record, we were initially expecting that report by the end of December. So, so they're having issues with staff health. Do we have a new estimate as to when the report will be submitted?
No, the last I heard was, the start of February and just, when we can, no, I haven't heard of an update since that.
Thank you. All right, so then moving on to updates, item number 5. So on 5.1 proposed Japanese bridge in Crippen Park, I can update the commission members. I attended for the public input section of that meeting, just at the very beginning of the Parks, Trails and Greenways Advisory Committee, because as you recall, council requested, referred the issue of the Japanese bridge both to the Heritage Commission and to PTGAC. And so we met in our last meeting, we made a number of recommendations that are on the council agenda for Tuesday for review by council. But PTGAC hadn't met yet. So I took the opportunity to join the meeting on Zoom just to be there to answer any questions that the PTGAC members might have, because obviously we know way more about it than they do, so that they could make recommendations based, full set of a full set of information. So there were a number of questions. I don't know if Steph sent an email about a half hour before the meeting started.
Just finished the minutes
Yeah,
then.
just finished the minutes. And so I thought that would be useful. So we can certainly review the minutes, but it's a lot of the questions were related to what are in their comments and recommendations. And just off the top of my head, a lot of it dealt with safe access, accessibility between parking lot and on Miller Road and the site. And, some of it dealt with impact on trails from additional use, questions about environmental impact of construction of a new bridge on the site. And actually, the committee recommended that environmental impact study be part of the project scope. Also that other groups, for example, Indigenous groups be involved in the process. And there are other groups that they mentioned, including, I think they said Department of Transport and
Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
and so DFO, okay. And
I didn't capture the reconciliation piece in here. My notes.
no, I don't think it's in there. They mentioned it to me, but I don't think that was in their notes, but it did come up in the conversation. Just trying to find where.
They call themselves PTGAC.
PTGAC, okay.
Yeah, I call them Parks and Trails. They call themselves PTGAC.
Okay.
A French and Swedish.
Yes.
Where? Oh, here it is. So. Oh, there it is, you go. Right there too. So just, yeah, yeah, they were concerned there was a lack of clarity around what the ask was. And that I'd mentioned that we'd asked that Bowen Island municipality request the application deadline be relaxed, which they thought was a good idea. But they asked me point blank, who's going to be making this application? And I had to say, at this point, nobody knows. Is it going to be BIM? Is it going to be Metro? And that's part of the issue right now is who's applying. Discussion around acquiring the private land on the opposite side of the bridge, and the interfaces with Colonial Lake Trail, installation of signage with QR codes to mark the area as historically significant for Japanese heritage, importance of an environmental assessment, ongoing salmon revitalization efforts, so impacts on salmon revitalization, public engagement by Metro Vancouver on ongoing salmon revitalization efforts by Bowen Fish and Wildlife Club. So that was another group that that the committee mentioned, and DFO, you're right, Steph, including possible fish ladder reconstruction in the same area and collaboration with Metro Vancouver, BIM and DFO. Of course, there's always the issue of scope creep. If a project gets too large, it doesn't happen. So that's interesting. But they did indicate that they are strongly supportive of something that would recognize Japanese Canadian contribution to Canada and Bowen Island. And that's subject to the resolution of potentially problematic environmental issues. And more information be obtained, particularly regarding the Bowen Fish and Wildlife Club, DFO, Salmon Ladder Project, adjacent trail use safety, and the impacts of increased foot traffic on the high use wildlife corridor carried unanimously. So I thought this seems overly, pretty positive in principle, but with concerns and community consultation.
Did you get the email from Paul Brower this morning at 9:30?
No.
This might be an email you want to read. I have a copy of it here. I can show you
Okay.
if you want.
Who's Paul?
Well, he is the GBRD Division Manager, Regional Parks West area.
There's an update. For sure.
Yeah, well, I just read this very quickly as I ran out the door. So it's Suzanne.
Should I read it?
Yeah.
Aloud? Okay. Doesn't sound good. Addressed to Suzanne Tabata and then a number of the rest of us. on
Sorry,
this
Paul
list.
Brower from where? Sorry. Metro Vancouver.
BRER, Division Manager, Regional Parks West Area. Suzanne Tabata, she's the CEO, so it's addressed to Suzanne Tabata, CEO of the Japanese Canadian Legacies Society. They manage the grant funding. CC a bunch of the rest of us that were on that list, Andrew Leonard, for example, Liam Edwards, Lane McGarity, and Museum. Hello, Suzanne. It was nice chatting with you yesterday to discuss the proposal by Bowen Island Museum and Archives for the reconstruction of a Japanese-style bridge over Killarney Creek near Bridal Veil Falls. As was discussed, Killarney Creek is an active salmon-bearing stream, and the proposal would pose significant environmental impacts to this sensitive riparian area. Metro Vancouver has assessed the proposal and do not support the construction of a bridge in this area.
Wow.
So
It's pretty clear.
that would pretty much, that would seem pretty conclusive.
And who's he? It's like,
He's the division manager, Regional Parks West area. Yeah.
oh, how should you go?
Pretty much. So that's disappointing. But that's pretty much a definitive update as you,
Oddly enough, it was not sent to you or I.
yeah.
So it went to Catherine and she forwarded it to me, but your name's not on there. Yeah.
Maybe because we were seen in some sense as proponents of it. I don't know. Or it might just be an oversight. All right. Any further
You guys have worked
discussion?
really hard.
Yeah.
A lot
A
of
lot of
hard
stuff.
work. There's a
Yeah.
lot of appreciation for the work you've done.
I think there might still be potential to do something. There was funding there. So it might
Yeah.
be a different form, but possibly in the same area, or we could do some lovely panels.
Yeah, Suzanne had mentioned, Suzanne, the CEO of the JCLS, had said that, there could be a plan, they'd be interested in a plan B. And that could include the interpretive hub and other things associated with it. Part of the idea is there could be a panel with a map showing other sites on the island and directions on how to get there, or you might even be some kind of a viewing platform that could happen. So some kind of project could potentially still be in the works.
Does it have to be that location? Can it be another site, on other sites?
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, there's a certain cachet about it being in that location, having been near this, by this bridge site and the symbolism of bridges and, connecting communities and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, but in a way, the fact that the bridge didn't go anywhere because there was no access to the other side, maybe an alternative location would be a better location anyway.
maybe build something in a better location. Yeah. Not over Killarney Creek, maybe over a different stream, but it's all pretty hypothetical at this point. But in the previous conversations about the project, a plan B viewing platform, some form of interpretive signage was part of that. So I guess the next steps would be, sorry.
I guess no reason was given there.
It's a
salmon.
salmon-bearing stream.
Yes.
Fish ladder.
That can be mitigated. Bridges are built.
Yeah, and the footings are still there, but the materials made that clear, but that doesn't mean the footings are engineering wise capable of being reused. So, yeah, but there may be other, I'm just speculating, but there could be other reasons. Sound bearing is that's politically a good reason to not support something that may not be supported for other reasons, like concern about maintenance of the structure over time and that kind of thing. So, but again, I none of us knows.
So I like the idea of some good signage, like you said, what do you call panels? Like panels would
Yeah.
be really good, because you've got that whole vista there of, it's not just the bridge, but the walkway that used to come up all the way from Causeway, like a wooden walkway, which was the same kind of construction, like it looked coherent with the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine that without having like a bridge on site. So I think there could be some really nice panels there. And the walkway, I don't know if you ever go down the steps down to the where you can
The fish ladder?
yeah,
Yeah.
get down to see the fall down. There's totally treacherous. I mean, I've done it like many times with my kids, and I'm always glad when I get back to the top again. I think obviously it's time that Metro made that safe if they're gonna keep it there. I'm always worried about losing the toddler through the gap in the well that big now.
Yeah, I've always.
But Owen might lose it.
Yeah, you might, yeah, warn you. Yeah,
Toddler
so.
lost and found.
So as presumably Metro has in their, they must have in their plans to update that, the stairway and make it safe, because it really isn't. And then to include panels as part of that.
Yeah, and I see that PT GAC would be an ally and supporter in that move because, yeah, I think anybody would agree that that trail is treacherous. And at certain times of the year, in the summer, it's sandy and you slip on it. And they also agreed that and this is a long-standing thing, is if you want to have decent access, and particularly for mobility impaired people between the Miller Road parking lot and the pedestrian walkway between that end of Hatchery Creek Trail and the beginning of Alder Trail, which is where the Japanese bridge site is. The trail on the public sidewalk on the far side of Miller Road is really dodgy. And it's uneven. It crosses at least 2 private driveways. And the other side doesn't have a continuous pathway. You're either out on the road or you're starting behind the potty, cutting through a really dodgy trail to get up to the road, and then you're back on the road again to cross Killarney Creek and get to the other crosswalk. And so I've always thought that this project and funding there could provide the opportunity as part of the budget, as part of the scope, to improve pedestrian access for a lot of these, and also wayfinding, because the wayfinding isn't great from the code either.
You're saying we need a bridge over the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, or an extension, if you have a bridge over the road.
A spare bridge going.
Read your lips, Owen.
Cherry blossom.
And I've kind of looked at that bridge, and there's where the culvert comes out, there's a concrete abutment that comes out at an angle which could support an extension of the road or a pedestrian walkway along it, but then that kind of angles in, and there's a piece where you'd have to build out, and there'd be a cost to that. But it all depends on how much the JCLS folks are willing to fund as part of this, but presumably they'd want good and safe access to a site that they're funding. So there's opportunities there. Never miss an opportunity.
Are you saying that there's an application going in still then? Is that
I'm
what
saying
you're-
what I'm saying is there is opportunity to look at it, and I think Suzanne Tabata and JCLS would be open to considering a plan B that they put forward.
Well,
And we're talking about what kind of scope
yeah,
could be included.
it seems to me that given the timeline, it probably would be a good idea to put in, somebody to put in an application for some house. And that's something that we can scope out. Window, when the deadline was like last week.
Well, it was the February 5th was the deadline for a
Oh, that's.
statement of intent, letter of intent. And then the end of February, beginning of March was the deadline for an application. But JCLS has always indicated we're late to the game because Ellen Hayakawa approached Suzanne quite late in this application process. And so they're quite interested in something on Bowen Island. So I'm assuming that there is some flexibility on deadlines, but yeah, time is definitely ticking.
Yeah. And if anything that was going to go on Metro Land, we would still need their permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they would be open to sign. So I think that that's within something you could pull off. Panels and probably price it. Possible that Metro would be open to doing that themselves anyway, but if we're gonna do anything with, if, I don't know who the we is here, but that is part of that legacy fund, it seems to me that signage is something good. Get together.
Yeah,
Signage.
I would say we should ask for as much as we think we might get, and then they can always say, well, we won't fund this, but we'll fund that. So the other thing too is if Metro doesn't want to have anything to do with this, Suzanne Tabata, when I asked her, would you fund something on public right of way, like a municipal right of way? They said, yes, they would. So there's also the opportunity for roadside interpretation or signage as well. Not ideal, but any other discussion on this?
You say there was a farm on a different part of the island that had some Japanese heritage.
Yeah, the Yamada Farm.
Is that on private land though? That's not.
It's, well, and this is one reason I asked the question, because if we wanted to have offsite interpretive signage, where could we put it? And would they fund, because they don't fund anything on private land. And they said, yeah, you could have a sign on the public right of way, which would be at the shoulder of the road, basically.
The farm is on private land then.
The farm would be private land, and there's also Kanishi Bay, and there's a association with Japanese people who Japanese people who tended farm there as well.
So where's, where you, Yamada Farm is Blue Water?
Yes, I believe so.
That big.
And
Yamada
Kanishi
Bay.
Bay is where the close to the golf course, where the where that conjunction is.
Kanishi Bay.
Close to the golf course, so we
That's
would
Kanishi, yeah.
go left to see more Alder Cove,
Like.
That's
it's
Kanishi.
one-
Yeah, it's good.
What's that? Can we?
so by Arbutus Bay
There's also an
Road.
association with a
Yeah.
Japanese family who
I
maintain
think it's the next one, the beach after Alder
a farm for
The next one.
white European
Community.
Maybe beach after Alder Cove.
Owner,
is a
owner,
little
but-
walkway.
played a big role.
That's, I think it's very small.
Yeah, his name.
Idle Beach.
It's that whole series of little bays, Union Bay, Kanishi Bay.
Trinity Bay.
Yeah,
So there's no opportunities for a reconstruction of something at those alternative sites where there's no salmon.
not with, unless there can be some public land found.
Okay.
Not with this money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing they don't fund.
There's no,
Yeah.
we need a place where there's no salmon.
Yeah, exactly. Not too many places to go.
They protected.
Yeah, so
The bridges are built. all over the place. And what about Capitol Inn, you know, the suspension bridge there, for instance? I mean, this is kind of, you know,
Yeah, well, doesn't Metro already have a bridge in, near the meadow across Killarney Lake?
is it?
Yeah,
Oh, like to go from the horses to the school?
yeah, yeah, exactly, getting from the meadow, so it's from the Killarney Trail to access the meadow and the horse.
Okay.
Yeah, so they put a bridge in there.
I was going to bring up another Japanese connection too. There used to be a little deli down in the dock. It was called Shika.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Which means
the last
deer, which
decade?
means deer in Japanese. I asked.
yeah, right. And those people are Japanese. She, Sumi, went on to have another one over in Tofino, but came back to Bowen, and they built a little Japanese village. 5 or 6 cabins or more in off the park. In, you know, how you go in behind the church, what's that road?
Collins Farm?
Yeah.
Collins Road, Reed Road, Collins. Oh, I know. It's up a driveway. There's a bend in the road there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's actually, you
That's
can
theirs.
kind of get to that property from the park.
Because there's that trail that goes from
Trail,
the
right.
Killarney Creek Trail over to the, yeah.
So I thought that would be a nice tie, the Japanese bridge crossing, connecting. But it's a bit of a stretch.
And it's private property. Unless
Unless it's
you,
a park,
well, that's right there.
but it's up to it.
Yeah.
That could be out. So many people used to visit the Opa Tree, which they've now closed, which is private land near to the park. But plenty of people would visit that. So to replace that with something else, get a lot of football, I'm sure.
At least by the little Japanese village there, there's no salmon, but there's also no creek there either. There'll be a bridge over land. It'd be a Japanese viaduct.
Get built on.
We can pull it up. Oh, I just wanted, in terms of, and I just wanted to throw something out, just sorry to interrupt, but in terms of an interpretive hub, are people familiar with the interpretive panels that they built at pullouts off of the Highway 99 between Horseshoe Bay and Squamish? So they're actually like a hexagonal or heptagonal structure. So the panels would wrap all the way around, and then they've got the shape of a Salish hat, shingles on the tops, this round thing. And I was all pretty impressed by those, and it's the same design all the way up. So different parts of the road have that. And I thought, wouldn't an interpretive like that kind of shape with wraparound signage and with something on the top that would reflect Japanese culture, Japanese arches, or, you know, architectural or something like that, or Humpy Bridge crest on side. Anyway, that was one idea that that space.
I was just wondering, Kathy, was Ellen included in that email?
I did not see your name in that.
The email is interesting. Are we gonna, given that it wasn't addressed to anyone on the commission, but we're using it as a reason to completely scrap the plans, shouldn't we wait until we're told officially, scrap all our plans, and then use that as an opportunity to reply to the email and say, is there anything we can do to make it okay?
Yeah.
Rather than just,
Through the chair, your recommendation will go to council on Monday. The Parks and Trails recommendation will go to council on Monday. Kathy advised that the mayor was on that email. So the discussion will happen at the council level.
Right.
With at least those 3 pieces of information, if not more.
The mayor will say, I received a letter from,
I'm not,
You know,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
not sure,
probably
but it's
something
not
like
like
that, yeah.
it's All we do is advise council,
So we will.
so it's not.
eventually, Yeah.
I mean, Kathy's independent through the Museum and Archives, but as far as the commission's role, that advice has been conveyed. Senator.
Okay, thanks.
And if something else bubbles up as a plan B, we can always advise council, I guess. Or the JCLS approaches council again with plan B and we respond as we did to the initial plan. Would be one way that could pan out.
And your point too is really good about the other side of the road. It's really in need of, if you're driving, people walking on the road. People walking on the road, it's very safe.
And what if you're trying to access an interpretive site and you're in a wheelchair or a walker or something like that? Probably the accessibility committee would be interested in something like this as well.
Back to our scope though.
Yeah, I don't think we would necessarily, other people will probably chime in. Our role is to advise council on heritage. It matters. So if another proposal comes forward, we would be in a position to provide recommendations to council, should council refer this to the Heritage Commission. And may refer to other committees as well, so.
So it seems to me that what's left to us is whether we want to suggest signage for this legacy fund or either suggest it, I don't know who we could suggest the council, I guess. Encourage Alan or
I'm thinking, if I understand your question correctly, that I'm thinking we probably peel the layers up the onion so that if Ellen and Suzanne and those folks are willing to consider with that grant funding, signage and wayfinding and other interpretive stuff that are included in a grant. And I think that's the first step. The mayor said at the last council meeting to Ellen and Suzanne and Lynn was another one. Thank you very much. It's not often that people come to us offering us money. And so at times when budgets are tighter or whatever, seems to me that the best chances of something going forward is to have grant funding. And no outlay from council. And if that doesn't go ahead, then at least we have kind of a list of things that are aspirations that at the right time we could ask council for. Does that sound reasonable?
yeah, I'm wondering, I'm not sure what the best way forward is, but I wondered if, given that Ellen came and spoke to us the last meeting, maybe we should drop her a line and say thank you for coming. We heard that Metro wasn't supportive of the bridge, but we encouraged this some signage to celebrate that Japanese Canadian heritage at that site.
Yeah, certainly that's something that one could be done informally. Was Ellen, she wasn't on that either. Okay. But it wasn't marked confidential, so I think we could forward it. If you could forward that maybe to me, or maybe we could forward it to Ellen and myself and,
I will do that.
well, yeah,
Why not?
and anyone else on the
Is
commission.
it because of Wi-Fi?
No, it's my email. I
Okay.
just won't send it.
I was like, is there others? Can I support you? That, do you think?
It's just been something quirky that's been going on for the last month, so. Yeah. Actually, what's the password?
Bowen Island 947, capital B, capital I. Bowen Island.
And 947 is the address of this building, right?
No, it's the
No.
first three numbers before cell phones were invented.
Oh, of course, the phone number, right? Yeah. Right.
Or should we kind of like Owen's comment that we should maybe wait to keep our idea in process until we really don't, it can't go there. We still have that idea, maybe somewhere else is possible.
So should we just be quiet for the next few days until it gets to council, do you think? Or-
It's gone to the mayor,
Yeah,
and I guess the only other person it went to the museum.
and I'll bet you dimes to donuts that Suzanne has already forwarded this to Ellen. So I'm sure by now Ellen's in the loop.
Well, it hasn't, she didn't call me, so I don't know if she is.
Maybe didn't know yet. Yeah. One thing I was considering doing as the Heritage Commission chair on Tuesday, like I did with the PTGAC Advisory Committee, is to be there, public comment section of the meeting, maybe on Zoom or maybe in council chambers, and just say that I'm here to answer any questions that council may have regarding the Heritage Commission's recommendations to council. And then a lot of this would probably come up, and it would be an opportunity to say to council, there would be value to looking at other sites on the island that weren't sensitive for salmon bearing, and failing that, look at other options for commemoration somewhere on the island there or somewhere else. I'd be, I'm happy to be there to answer questions from council. Is that appropriate for the commission chair to be there?
I think it's very appropriate. I just want to front load. They're not as informal as committee. So whereas Parks and Trails would have pulled you into their discussion, council shouldn't really do that. So if there are bullet points you want them to hear, I'd front load that during public comment section.
Would it be like you get council or?
No, just say,
Oh,
like
just
the
say, oh,
things you're
yeah.
saying, like,
Right.
you're like, I'll be there, and then you said some points. They said, I'll be
Right.
there, so if you want those points said, make sure they're
I
said.
just said, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They may
Okay.
break protocol that way. It has happened, but it's rare.
it's rare that they'd actually ask questions of somebody.
They're not supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Did I have something?
It would be good to understand exactly why though, rather than just because salmon. What is it?
Maybe, but I just think, it seems to me that this timeline for the Slice of Fun, it's already kind of gone by. The idea of the bridge is awesome. It's always a long shot, and we get it. Get it, going with like several different main stakeholders, given that the timeline is so tight, that the first deadline is already passed and the next deadline is next weeks. I think we could still done for the signage. And the Japanese bridge might be a project for another year. It might be for in 5 years' time or 10 years' time or something, right? Like, but everybody's had a bit of time to figure out it, process it, figure out how it can be done environmentally.
It's supposed to be taught.
Not with this grant funding though, which it ends, it has a end and it goes away forever. It's a one-time
Yeah.
funding thing from the.
It's not gonna, it's just not gonna happen. It's
Oh,
just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen
Mm-hmm.
with this fund. It's already gone, but we could do signage, and especially like signage down at the Yamada. Like that seems more tied into this legacy thing associated with the internet.
Also, a lot of, like our committees review that was done last year, 2 years ago, was all talking about keeping committees in line with the strategic plan and with their guiding plans, like the parks one, the parks trails. They need to refer back to the parks plan. we're always looping things in if people want something. Anybody, like somebody wanted a volleyball court on Sandy Beach. So we said, just go to the plans. They went to the rec plan, the parks plan, the whatever, the OCP, and then you pull out, and that's how you strengthen your request. So we're doing a work plan this afternoon. We have a heritage strategic plan that we've all worked on, and we're doing a work plan. So if there are some broad strokes about Japanese heritage as being important to this group, and it's supported by our strategic plan, and council approves the work plan, now you're better positioned for when a project like this comes along, then the recommendation can be supported by these kind of forward thinking.
Which is why some of the language in the work plan that I laid down made sure it was nested within our commission mandate, but it was around our role of supporting heritage and history generally on the island, and also taking advantage of opportunities that may come up from time to time. So something like the bridge is an opportunity that would come up, and so I think I agree. If we keep things within the mandate, I think we're okay. But I agree, we should not stray too far. And this isn't our project either. It's our role to advise council on this project or others. Okay, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other discussion on this? We probably should move on. So. Everybody okay with moving on to 5.2, other updates, external agencies, anything there?
So that would be Museum and Archives and the Bowen Heritage, but both working together on Heritage Week.
Yeah, so it's our impetus right now.
Yeah.
Okay. New business, any other business? All right, then I think we've done this part of the meeting prior to the work plan, and I think we've concluded early.
Okay.
So there being no
Yeah.
objection, the meeting part of the day is concluded at
Do we need to review the action items or are we done?
Okay.
the action items. Thank you.
I think we may be done now.
I missed that. Skip right
I
over
thought you
it.
did that on purpose. I love it. Sometimes people do. It's okay. What did Maureen used to call it? The confession time or something?
It says, speak to them. So number one is Andrew Todd, taking images from Museum and Archives for the 100-year birthday card. 2, Andrew Todd, invite David Smith.
Speak up. You speak very quietly.
Obtain images from Museum and Archives to use in the library's 100-year birthday card.
I was supposed to do.
Well, Kathy wasn't here at the last meeting, so you're gonna connect with her now. You brought her instead of the. So we'll call that done.
Doing it.
Yeah, okay, you did it. Bad.
Good job, Andrew.
And number 2 says Andrew Todd, invite David Smith to join the Heritage Week event plan.
Yeah.
See, you're just doing all these actions.
Oh, come on.
And number 3, step short, email subcommittee members with proposed date and location of this meeting.
And she did that.
Done.
Is it or the library? I don't know, some meeting that is already arranged. And then
It's happened.
there's just some December 5th ones. We already done that? Discuss work plan, and I spoke to Alan Hightower. But it says done but discuss next meeting, including this is in potential grant applications. If they'll help the bridge, I don't know what that means.
What's 20 acres on Cowan Point? Is that Japanese?
Yeah, and I need to discuss it with Alan, I can't really remember, is it to do with that beach, maybe? The, what is it called? Kanoshi Beach, I think it might have been related.
Okay. I'll just take those off the list anyways.
Oh, was it to do with, I don't know if it was 20 acres, it was to do with somebody who briefly owned a lot of money, a lot of land down there.
Yeah, and it was very brief and I can't remember the name and I've not ever been able to verify it.
Yeah.
We thought maybe it was Mr. Tumor.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah, we've not really verified.
Yeah,
She
and I'm not sure, I wasn't clear from Ellen whether there was anything there, like any built heritage or, but I think for Ellen it was about that ownership took place and like grounding the significance of Japanese Canadian participation in Canadian and Bowen Island heritage. I think that's what it is.
I think it was broadening kind of the identity of Japanese Canadians
Yeah.
too, so that
Yeah,
we just
as
weren't
a
just looking at
significant part.
caretakers and
Yeah. That's right.
Donor.
That's right.
just looking.
Sounds like you need a Japanese heritage subcommittee for this group that can just gather it all up. Oh,
Yeah, I think it's in the strategic planning. Yeah, so. look at that. So I think that's all of the action items.
Okay. Thanks very much. And I'd actually been thinking that we might need subcommittees, maybe subcommittees, but I'm gonna leave that until discussion of the work plan. That will come up. So is there any other business at this portion of the meeting? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Entered at 2:06 PM. And I'm gonna ask that we take a bit of a body break.